Good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is week 2. This is the second week of Grant Writing Mastery July cohort. And in this second week, the focus is on designing the project so you can respond to the sections of the application where the funder is asking you about your project objectives, the project goals, the activities you intend to implement, and how all of these activities helps to address the problem for the key population. So at this point, I want to hear our feedback. So you can either use the chat area or you can unmute yourself and then share your challenges. I want us to focus more on the challenges, how you felt engaging with the training video for week 2, and also trying to implement the task. Now, the whole idea of the training of this particular program design, like I was sharing with us last week, is not to just give you access to information or give you access to content without having you experience that feeling that will come when you are really applying for a grant. So we're trying to simulate that experience. So some of the mind blocks that you're currently experiencing is what you will experience when you are really applying for funding. So you see a funding proposal and it's like, it's confusing. All of the questions are just throwing you off balance. That is how it is. It is normal. Even for us that have spent years writing proposals, is the same experience. But why we did not just stop at giving you access to the toolkit and allowing you to go and figure it out and then go through all the challenges alone, is to bring you into this space so you can have all your questions answered. You can do the work, and also you can have us as coaches look at the document and point out the gaps, point out the errors, and give you direction on what to do to strengthen the quality of the research. And so that's the thinking behind the design. And then I want us to really share our thoughts about week 2 before we get into the breakout rooms. Once I can confirm that Abraham is here, let me check the participants. When I confirm that Abraham is here, we'll get into the breakout rooms. All right, so there's a comment in the chat that says, week 2 made me feel like I was unprepared. I think it's true. It was very technical, like a repetition of points. I realized it's not a job for one-man team. It's a teamwork. So proposal writing is better when you are in a team. It is much better when you are in the team. Proposal writing is not, except you are really very experienced. You are very experienced in the program area where you're working, and then you're also very experienced when it comes to writing proposals, and you've been able to record some form of successes by getting grants. Even at that, it's still advisable to write in a team. That's because when you write a proposal with your team, so not just you as the executive director of your organization or as the program manager, you also have other program officers there. They can give you more information, more insight into what's going on with your population. So if you've grown your organization to some point, you'll find out that as a CEO, you don't even go to the field every day. You only go for high-level meetings, you only go for high-level engagement. So if you write a proposal alone, you will lose some information about current happenings, current experiences of the key population you're working with. I mean, it's better when you have more people throwing in ideas, refining your ideas, or designing something more robust. But even at that, if it's your sole responsibility and you find yourself that you are writing it alone, it's all good. The idea is for you to have the knowledge and have the skill set to be able to write any proposal that you find yourself before you, because you're going to be facing call for applications, call for proposals. You need to have that confidence to be able to put in a good quality written piece, not just something that is half-baked or something that is not coherent. That's why we're giving you this, setting your butts on fire, pushing you, and every time, even the work we've reviewed before, we're still telling you, do this, do that, review or improve on the quality of the writing. That's why you see us doing that, so that when you find yourself before an opportunity, you can make the most. You can deliver the best quality of proposal possible that you can come up with, and then know that you stand a chance. All right. So I want to hear our thoughts, our experiences about week 2. One of the things I was discussing with Abraham today, I wonder why he's not here yet. But when
Hi,
I was
Rookie.
having, are you here?
Yes,
As
I've been
what?
with you all along.
Which name did you sign in with?
Abraham.
I can't find Abraham list of participants.
Just hold on for a bit. Let me have it.
Jennifer Tanko.
Oh, somebody used this before, yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I was wondering, I said, when we were having a conversation earlier, I was saying that let us use these live sessions to address your questions, address your fears, because you already have the training, you already have the templates, and all of us, we are in your document pointing out the errors and all of that. So we are not overwhelmed and then repeating what we have done in your documents. We're going to be just touching general observation, because we reviewed this week. I reviewed yesterday on Friday. I spent a lot of time reviewing. You see, some of my comments were really very long. Some were just short, So we're going to discuss broadly some of these ideas. And then we would get back to continue our work. After the breakout session, you can then continue. I'll give you direction on what to do for week 3. Okay. So Dr. Alwell, your hand is up. Let me hear your question or your thoughts before we go ahead. All right, you have the floor. I need my notepad.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but the line is breaking.
Okay, good evening. Okay. Is it still breaking?
Yeah, it is, but
okay. Just hold on. Hold on. Let me use my phone. Please hold on. Let me use my phone. Thank you. To be better with my phone.
So why Dr. Chinomso is trying to figure that out. So let's hear you guys. What are your thoughts? What are the challenges that you face? Because it's better we have the conversation together so people can learn from all that you're sharing before we go to breakout rooms. So what were the challenges? Isaiah, your mic is open. You want to share with us? So what was your experience working on week 2? What were the challenges? What were the gaps?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, good evening, Coach.
Hello, good evening.
Sincerely speaking, just like I mentioned to you on Friday, the week was so rough for me in terms of my official duty. So I was thinking it's something I can easily bounce on and come out of it with flying colors. But when I saw those questions from you, I was, in fact, I was totally confused, as in I didn't even know where to start, but I just have to leave everything, wake up this morning. I woke up around 4 a.m. I started thinking. So I don't really know. I don't know if what I have put down is in line, because I noticed you didn't review my last input. So I can't really say if what I put on is maybe is okay or in line with what we are supposed to do.
Okay. So you reviewed, I remember reviewing your documents. I remember reviewing your document yesterday morning, on Friday morning. And so what if you have done any other updates based on my recommendations? I have not seen it. So I will take a look in my next stream of reviews. I'm going to take a look at that again, but not to worry, you know, your own case, like I told you in your document that what you told us the problem is like the design you came up with is now addressing something different, which by the time we go into the breakout rooms, we would elaborate more on it, because you were talking about lack of interest in education, and then you're suggesting something that has to do with economic empowerment. That is why I said, is it that you're using this skills development so they are able to become financially empowered as an incentive to ignite interest in education? So I saw that there was a gap somewhere trying to tie it in. So the conversation or the argument that you have put up in the problem analysis, whatever activities you're coming up with, whatever project objective you're coming up with, must speak to those issues you have discussed. It must speak to those issues. If not, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. All right. So by the time we get into our breakout rooms and we are dealing with this on a case by case, you're going to have clarity. I put down some notes because after reviewing the document, the gaps that I identified, I noted them down so that I can talk about it in coaching session today. And then everybody can learn from it and work with that as you continue to write in the program and even as you submit applications after your program. Okay.
Okay.
So Dr. Chinom, so don't worry, we get to address that. I understand all the emotional rush that is going on. It's normal. It's normal. All right. It's okay. So before we continue, before we continue talking about the issues, quickly, I want Abraham to share his thoughts with us, because I was talking to him earlier today. He raised some concerns about some of the proposals he reviewed. So don't worry, Stella, Madam Stella, you get to share your thoughts with us. So he raised some key issues, you know, and then these are issues that the review panel would spot, will flag up when they look at your proposal. It is people like us that review proposals, people like Abraham, people like myself, people like Coach Renee. Coach Renee is in transit, he's traveling in between states back home in the US. So by the time he settles down later tonight, he'll be able to join us. And so it is people like us that they call to review applications. Some are external consultants, just like all of us, myself, Coach Renee, and Abraham. Some are employees within the organization. So it is this level of scrutiny and depth that your papers will go through. So don't feel bad when you see all those long comments and questions and all of that. In fact, you should be happy that it's happening now, not that you have asked for money and someone is just tearing the paper into pieces. So it's happening now, so you know what you need to begin to strengthen and improve upon. It's better we identify those gaps now and deal with it in this program. That's the objective of this program, you know? So you have to do the work and we have to see it so we can help you. If you don't do the work, if you don't write it, that part, we will not be able to help you. I mean, and you also have to do it the way we have the different portions on a week by week basis. For some of you, you have gone so far, even from week 1, to do a lot of other sections. There are certain information you need, certain learning that you need before you'll be able to write some sections of the proposals well. So don't rush it. Do the sections that we have asked you for the specific. So Abraham will be sharing his thoughts with us because the wealth of experience that Abraham is bringing in is really very strategic, because he's someone that actually reviews applications and proposals from grant applicants. It's something he does every single day at work. reviewing reviewing applications, reviewing proposals from people asking for funding from the Norwegian Refugee Council. And so I want him to share with us his observation, reviewing your applications, reviewing your write-up for the last 2 weeks. So he's going to have that conversation with us, and then would break out into rooms so that we can do this faster tonight, and then people can rest, can go home and rest ahead of the week for next week. All right. So Abraham, I hope you're able to turn on your camera tonight.
No, not today. I remain the coach in the dark.
All right, that's okay.
All right. So honestly, first off, I would say just like I said the other time, congratulations once again.
Yeah.
At least it's not by mistake that you made the decision to be a part of this course. And just like Ruki has said, I would really want to encourage every one of us not to feel slighted by any comments you see on your work. Probably not to feel like the inputs you've made are being trashed or rubbished. No, I want us to have a much more accommodating mind that allows you to learn. Because first and foremost, when I started opening some of the works that we did, initially I wanted to keep my comments as friendly as possible. But then coming in from the work I do, I know no donor wants to be unofficial and friendly about their comments. If your application is missing certain bits of information, they are straight with their comments and they let you know what they need, so that you are clearly able to identify what gaps are in your proposal, and then you are able to work on it. I am using the tone a donor would use if they review your paper. And then secondly, I also want us to know that even for the most seasoned organization and proposal writers or business development consultants, when they write proposals, it goes to the big funding organizations, and it also comes back with comments. In the case where your problem statement has captured their interest and the proposal you have sent, the activities are all in line with what the donor wants to achieve, and then your budget was cost effective, it comes back with what they call an issues letter. The issues letter is where the donor highlights all the respective sections of your proposal that they have concerns with or they don't have clarity on, and then they ask you to explain further. Now, when that comes, they don't mince words. They don't try to be your friends. Instead, they ask you directly for what is needed. So that is my first point of note for us, that we should see the comments on our work as or from the professional aspect, because if Rookie, if Rene, or if myself try to pamper us, we would not be giving us the value that we should get. Because by the time you submit a proposal, and let's say your proposal is at the near funding stage or pre-funding stage, and a donor comes back with comment, then your house will be on fire if you don't understand that this is how they would tone their feedback to you. And then progressing from there, I would want us to know that what we are doing is trying to get you to be able to write a proposal that should go at first, or upon first reading, upon first review. Because when it comes to proposal development and winning funds or grants for your respective organizations and nonprofit, no donor will come back to you with question. They are not going to put these questions, in your proposal, asking you explain this, spell. No. It is only when your proposal catches their interest, is in line with what they want to do, and offers them value for money. Then if there was only some little bit portion of your proposal that wasn't so clear enough for them, then they could send you an issues letter to request those additional information. But if your proposal from the very start has so many questions than answers, then it is thrown away immediately. Now, let me speak from my my experience over the years writing proposal and representing some really good organizations in terms of proposals. I want you to know that first off, a proposal starts with your ability to write a qualitative essay. You need to know where to put your punctuation marks. You need to know where to use your capital letters. You need to know where to put full stops. You need to know that you must use short, concise, and straight to the point sentences. You don't want to have those sentences that starts in Nigeria and ends in the US. You know, before the reader or the reviewer follows that train of thought till the end, they may lose their focus. They may lose their attention span and lose all the message that you're trying to pass. So you want to keep your proposal as concise, as clear as possible. Do not include any information that is not needed.
Okay, let me ask a question, Abraham.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to be very objective, very blunt about it, because it's better it happens now than when they are before a funder that needs to give them money.
Yeah.
Of the 22 documents or so that are coming from last week till now. So you've read problem analysis, you've read about activities, and you've read about objectives and how the project will work. Do you think there is one or two that would scale through a real live proposal review panel?
Hi, Rookie. Do you want to discourage our learners?
No, yeah. Sometimes we just need to collect the bad boost, you know, and then sit up and then learn. Like if we do the pampering, like you said earlier, if we do the pampering, it wouldn't do anybody any good.
Yeah, that is true.
But if we are able to break things down and build up again and get people to, you know, really sit on this and the errors to avoid and where they really need to work on, I think it will be better. Or don't we think so, my dear participants? Do you want the pampering and all of that, or you want the hard truths? We tell you as it is, and then you work in line with what can really help you and get you results. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that paid to come in here so that we'll now rub them makeup and give them wine to drink when it's not going to help.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think
and they're saying in the comment, they want the hard truth. So tell us, if all these papers pass through the real cocoa, what's gonna happen?
In response to that, Rookie, the answer is a very big capital letter no. Like none of the proposals I've seen has the ability to pass even 5 minutes of review.
Okay. Why?
Because
let us know the why. It's good. I'm happy people are telling us in the comments that that's why I said this train, we're not training in these sessions are, you know, where we get the warm water, the hot water, the cold water, and then we go back to work. The training is in your toolkit. There's nothing I want to say again that is not in the toolkit. I even added an additional video, like I was sharing with you, Abraham. That's from the master class of April. It was a beginner's master class. And so if all those terminologies like output, outcome is confusing you, go back and watch the second training. All the training you need are in the toolkit. All the books you want to read are in the tool. Have you people read Proposal Writing Blueprints, the 69-page ebook? It is that ebook that Livingstone read. That was the only book that Livingstone read, attended onboarding workshops that some of you attended before you signed up, streamed my videos on Vimeo, and he has raised over $100,000. He did not attend Grant Writing Mastery.
Yeah.
He didn't attend Grant Writing Mastery. And he has raised over $100,000 US. He has not attended Grant Writing Mastery, but he has used the ones he could afford at a certain time. And they have one in exact figures, $116,000. He has watched all the videos on my YouTube channel, all the videos on my Vimeo, all the videos on my Facebook and Insta. There's no video I've put up that he has not watched. $116,000. So let's even have these hard conversations now, so we know what to go back and begin to address. So you have told us now that there is no one that can survive the first reading stage.
Yeah, none.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Why?
the reason is this. I'll just itemize them and maybe talk briefly on them.
Yeah.
The reason is this. Sentences are very incomplete. They hang a lot. They leave more questions than answer for the reviewer. And that is a bad quality for any proposal. And then, secondly, the paragraphs are not coherent. They do not build on each other. The paragraphs for each of the sections I've reviewed, for most of the proposal, it's a characteristics of the writing of our participants or our learners, that they just jump from one paragraph, not even just paragraph now. They jump two sentences, two progressive sentences. They don't flow into the other. The new sentence is like a paragraph in itself. Another sentence is like a paragraph in itself. And this tells the funder your ability to report qualitatively if you are given the fund. Now, you would not want to send somebody to the market with your money if you know that person cannot provide you a good records of account of how your money was spent. So this is a concern. And then thirdly, the sources that are being cited in the proposals, I see that we cite sources that are not credible. I see that we include links instead of stating the names of the articles and then the institution that probably carried out that research or the survey and then dating it.
Yeah, in addition, before I lose this, since you already raised the issue of the references, all the documents you're referring to. So there was a particular application I reviewed yesterday, and then they were making reference to surveys in Malawi. And then the project is going to happen in Nigeria. So what is the relationship between the issues you want to address for the population in Nigeria and what is happening far away in Malawi or in China?
True. So that's a no for any donor. And apart from that, we mentioned, I think, Ruki, you just took my next line of thoughts. We mentioned things that are not relevant to the locations where we are proposing to work. And that is not good. For every proposal, you want to say, what is the prevalence of this problem? Let's say, use Nigeria, for example. Then narrow it down to the state where you want to work. If there are no data to support this, use Nigeria. If there is no data, use Nigeria.
Umbrella data.
Yeah. And then I think fifth, have another member of your team support you in writing. They will always be a second eye to the structure of your test. There will always be a second eye to maybe things you missed out from what you're writing, or other things that probably you can include from your programs and your organization capabilities that could sell your proposal even more. So you'd want another member of your team to be a part of this. Now, still keeping this line of thought, it will be good for each of us here present to have also provided the opportunity for someone else who is a member of our organization to also participate in this. Maybe not with another device, but also maybe sitting together with you, and then at the end of every
currently some countries it's 10:36 p.m. and there's no way a member of their team will be with them in their houses.
Time. What they can do in that case is share the recorded videos. That's the recording. Have another person listening into the discussions that have been made and try and see what you and that person can iron out from bilateral discussions. So I think that would really help if your proposal is not developed by one person. Now, still building on this, For coaches like myself, Rukewe, and Renee, we might be able to sit down and develop full proposals on our
by
own.
ourselves.
Do all the annexes, do all the log frames, do the budget, even in a day.
Yeah,
You know, the reason we are able to do this
we are
is
rating
because
more
we
than
have been
500
doing it,
proposals.
yes, over time. So there are sections in proposals where we don't need to write again. We already have catalogs of proposals where we can just copy, paste, and fine tune to suit this current donor and their guiding comment for that particular section. But if you are starting proposal writing now, you must be writing it together in a team, as part of a team. Do not sit and finish a proposal by yourself. You'll be very amazed at what you will arrive at the end. Then I think building on this, do not mention things that are not in your favor. Do not. I saw a proposal that said
We have never received grants before.
yes. Thank you.
You
You
just
got that
shut
part.
your. I spoke about it last week. I spoke about it last week, and I said, do not write your capacity statement unless you have watched the part of the training that talks about your capability. Your capacity statement is a marketing message. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Before you people signed up for this program, it's either you saw my ad and then you went to my page and watched some videos. For some of you, you've been following me for 2 years. I know them in this place. They've been following me for 2 years. You've been attending a lot of free sessions and this you were attending so that you can form an opinion to say, okay, is this the right person that I want to learn from? Imagine that I had come up to say that, oh, I'm a grant writing coach, but I've never written a proposal before. It's the training I attended. Or we've been writing proposals and let's do it together. Hopefully we'll get you funded. Will you, one dime you will not pay. But before you paid your money to come in, you have to like convince yourself, test credibility, due diligence. I've had people who have been watching, maybe they've been observing since I started, whether maybe after 1 year, I will just go on that ground. But it's been 3 years, I was still running the race and they said, okay, it's time to put in money with her. So you don't go in your proposal telling the funder that you have never received. If I don't need to read your project design, if I'm reviewing a document,
that's full stop.
That's why that is where it ends. So you put you've never received grant before, and then there was some statements that presented your organization in a pitiable state. The donor is not trying to help you.
They're trying to help your beneficiaries.
It's not you they want to help. It's about the beneficiaries that you represent. You are just a vehicle, a messenger. Yeah, somebody is sending message with the money to go and, provide value. I don't even want to use the name, the word help. But that you're sending on a mission to serve a specific population, to create value, to create transformation for a certain population. And for you to undertake that mission, you must be capable. So when you now write your capacity statement and it reflects a lot of gaps, you're just projecting the gaps and all of that, it becomes a problem because they will doubt your credibility. And even when they look at the analysis, look at the design, it seems strong. They say that these people took a consultant to write the proposal. They don't have the capacity internally to get the job done. So please, do not gloss. And another thing I feel, another vibe I'm getting is like you are not watching the video properly. It's like you are doing it on fast forward. And then you just get into the document. There is no shortcut to proposal writing. There is no shortcut to proposal writing. So the question that just popped in here, after I look at this question, Abraham, you continue. What do you write when you are asked to write about the previous grants you have received? Good question. I would answer it. Abraham will top it up. Okay. So even if you have not received grants, like organized grants from an institutional donor, like AWDM, you went this, you went that, they've not given you grants before. You've been running activities. And these activities, you've been running them with resources, with money. And remember, if you've attended some of the live videos I've done before, I've talked about how you need to organize even your personal resources to be strategic for you. So treat the personal funding that you are using to run your organization as though they are grants. You are a separate entity from your nonprofit. So if your nonprofit is ABC Foundation, you as Barrister Ebenezer is a donor to ABC Foundation. So you have donated, if you used 300,000 the first quarter of the year, 500,000 the second quarter of the year, because the second quarter just closed, that's 800,000 naira. Barrister Ebenezer donated 800,000 to ABC Foundation. And so when you are describing it, you may not call your name in it, but you've been working with resources, with funding from board donations. These are donations and funding from the board of the organization. This thing is about strategic position, it's about selling yourself. You will sell yourself in a way that when you even read it, you'll be wondering, is this us? It's marketing. The little resources that you have used, it's about telling the story about it in a way that it inspires the funder to support you. You've been funding as long as you have implemented activities. Those activities were implemented with money, and that money came from somewhere. The money came from somewhere. That source is a donation, even if it came from you. Recognize that you and your organization are two different legal entities. Ebenezer is different from Lawyers Arise Initiative. They are two different things. And so Ebenezer, when Ebenezer spends money for activities, he has donated that money to Lawyers Arise Initiative. They're two different things. Except you have not done any activity, you've not done anything under your organization. As long as you spent money, that money came from somewhere, and that source is the funding. It's the way you describe it that matters. All right. Okay, so in addition, Abraham, you top on your
Yeah,
idea.
I think Ruka, you mentioned quite a lot of important things there. Just in addition, this is a small guide for every one of us here. Even before you receive funding, you are doing quite a lot already. Develop the habit of writing reports, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual reports, and then record your beneficiary reach. Always ensure that the data you are recording is gender disaggregated. And also shows if you reach persons living with disability, also have them there. And then always ensure that whatever contributions come to your organization, they are all going to a single account. Do not be in the practice yet as a small organization of receiving money in your organization to different accounts. And also do not be in the practice of receiving donations in cash. Because if you ever proceed from the proposal development stage to the stage where you are, I saw one comment, I'll respond to that. If you ever proceed from the state where your proposal is now being considered for funding, you will need to provide proof of account, how that account has been managed over time, that is your audit.
Bank statement.
And if you can't provide any of these, no matter how good sound your proposal is, the donor leaves you. Then for those of you who do not have bank accounts in the names of your organization and your organization is already officially registered, please go
red flag. Let me take you down memory lane. Abraham, recall that there was a grant that I wrote. Don't mention that grant. Don't mention the amount of money. I wrote it and I was feeling like the duchess of the whole world, you know.
Yeah.
And then The donor has sent in all documents. Congratulations, we love the project, this and that. We have done onboarding call with the funder. This happened in 2018.
Yes.
We have done onboarding call. In fact, Oga was already preparing to get into the field. And then the funder asked for due diligence, you know,
Yes.
an appraisal. And remember
Yes.
that the form for the appraiser was even harder than the proposal itself.
I'm telling you.
We had finished filling everything. Remember, I fell sick that period. After all, when it got to the stage of submitting bank statements, financial reports, please tell our people what happened.
Wow, our guy said he had 10 million naira contribution from the board of trustees. By what? Cash. Because the
Cash
money
in
wasn't
hand, 10 million, cash in hand.
and we do not have the expense record on that amount. So as at the time when the donor came for the visit, for the due diligence, it was, okay, this money has not been spent. You said you receive it via cash. Please, where is it? Where are you keeping 10 million naira in your organization cash? So it painted the organization to be fraudulent with their financial statements. So that is why I'm discouraging you from having any form of donations to your organization in cash. Even if somebody gives you cash, have your staff go to the bank and deposit it in the name of the donor. Yeah, that will save you a lot of stress when it comes to the final little bits that you need to do before you are finally awarded. You get to the stage of signing the contract agreement and all that, and then you get into implementation. Now, for those people who are wondering, why are we talking about recent and past project finance management? Don't forget, your donor is talking about money. They are giving you money to solve needs that exist in society. And then they want to see value for money. You don't give fish to a cat or to rats to help you hold. So you need to have the right finance management systems in place. And you need to have the right technical staff to be able to implement and report what you have implemented to the donor. So these things are very important. I don't know why I'm talking about this. But
even if we don't go into breakout sessions, I am satisfied. You know what? This is what we really call the funding readiness, because all of this information that we're sharing with you tonight, there are some application forms that you will need to answer these questions. You will answer these questions. You will talk about your existing funding sources. You will talk about your existing funding sources. You talk about the donations from your board. You talk about the grant. You talk about if you're providing services that generates income, if you sell stuff, maybe you sell books, you sell souvenirs and all those things, you sell stickers, blah, 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 t-shirts, branded t-shirts, you sell them to generate income. You're going to talk about all of them. And then you're going to talk about this particular source. This is the amount of money that it has brought about last year, the other year. So if you're not meticulous, if you're not intentional about your activities, how would you respond to those questions from a funder? You will not be able to respond to them. So even if you are currently self-funded, treat that your own money that you're spending for your non-profit as though it is what a grant funder gave to you.
Call it a pet project.
As though they give you that money. You should not spend $1 and you don't know where the trail of that $1. Well, at the end of this program, I will just give you people a course that you can plan for and just buy it and watch it. It does not have any live session attached. They are just recorded videos, especially around structuring your organization. These are things you can do on your own without spending a lot of money to pay me to come do it for you. It's something you can structure on your own. I want to engage us, that's fine. But I think it's something that when you go through the lessons, it's something you can begin to do. So we don't fully veer off proposal writing and get into structure. When you see those questions, we're just saying this so you're able to respond to them, you know.
Yeah.
And then back to
Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ricky. Yeah, so just to like round up those things I was talking about.
Yeah.
I think I think when my mic
I
is
need
on.
to mute. I need to mute Chinyo.
Yeah. And please use the right register of words. Don't be writing a health project and be writing as though and be missing the right register, the types of words to use. Don't be talking about malnutrition and then be saying children that are not well
Kwashoko.
fed. And don't be saying we want to go and give supplies to children that are not well fed. You say you are trying to reach children that are suffering from severe or moderate or acute malnutrition. So there are registers of words that applies to whatever field of work or
There you
whatever
go.
sector of intervention that you find yourself in. And then please don't use the first person pronoun of we, I, us, our. Please use the official name of your organization or the acronyms. Do not say during this period
I
we were
went to
able
the
to.
field.
You are representing an organization, don't forget, and you are writing as that organization. Instead, it should be during this period, RODU, if that is the acronym of your organization, implemented XYZ. So it is clear you are speaking about your organization. And then also when writing about past projects, please start by listing the name of the project, the funder of the project, the amount of the project, and then if you can give just a line or a sentence about the reach of that project. If it's a project that has been concluded, it will be good. And to also mention the time period where the project was also implemented. So if you also come into the project activity section, don't just go and do a full block paragraph when you are coming into project activity. There are activities that will contribute to certain indicators. Sorry, please, let's not take you to log frame now.
Objectives.
So let me go this way. Let me take it this way. Activities are progressive. There are project inception activities, the project kickoff activities that you normally need to do, a community entry activities, and then let's say your baseline activities. And then before your actual project, the intervention core activities, and then you do your M&E activities, and then you do your endline activities, and then project closeout. So you must give the title for each of these activity and explain, at least with 3 lines of text. This is the title of the activity. Put it there, put a column and explain. This activity will be implemented in XYZ location. We take 3 days. And in this activity, we hope to reach so number of people with XYZ content by the end of this activity. So you want to be as clear as possible. Nothing should be in your proposal by mistake. It all has to be deliberate. Everything should fit. Then going from there, like I noticed during this during the work we've been given, the task we've been given by Coach Rookie, I noticed that some of us go online and then we delete and resolve the comments, the guiding comments. Well, I would like to bring it to your notice that if you ever deleted a guiding comment on your own, you have deleted a reference point when you will be writing future proposals that have that section. Because these guiding comments do not apply only to pass proposal. It applies to every other proposal where you have a similar section. You can refer back to those guiding comments and look at, Coach Rookie said, this section of the proposal should only include XYZ and I should not include this.
Sorry, guiding comment is our comment on your paper. So yeah, on the drive, you know, everybody has uploaded to Drive and you've invited us to review, to edit. So we usually do not distort the content. We go by the side. So what we'll do, I will highlight the paragraph I'm talking about, or the sentence I'm talking about, or the section, and then add a comment. So by the side, you will see my comment. That is the guiding comment he's talking about.
Yeah, and just to add on this, I took 2 people as well, I call them my closest friends, Stella and Kangyang, and then I think Ruthie Song. These ones I edited their content.
Oh, you went into the content. Wow.
Yes, these ones I edited their content and I moved things around a bit and gave them comments. Now I noticed that one of the proposals I saw, which looked really like the person knew what she was doing, only she was missing some, was that of Stella. But when you asked me if anybody's proposal would pass, even Stella's proposal will not pass. So I think that's it from me. So I don't drag
Okay.
for much
Yeah,
longer than
no,
this.
it's good. I like, I didn't want this session to be another training. We don't need another training. We just need direction. We need to know the potholes to avoid as we drive through proposal writing. And it's also a iron sharpened iron experience for me. You know, it's it, guys, don't cry when we said none will pass. It's better it's happening now. We're simulating that experience for you. It's not when you get into the final stage. Okay. So we may not get into breakout tonight. We'll continue like this so that my group does not miss some things Abraham wants to share. And Abraham's group will not miss some things I want to share. For now, until we've exhausted all the points that we want to raise, if there's still time, then we can go and talk in breakout. If not, I don't really see the points because this is a coaching session. We're already doing the work inside your document. So in the chat here, I'm saying I would still appreciate a breakout room so we can talk more. Okay, that's fine. We can do that. Thank you, Abraham, for comments. They're very helpful. All right, great. This is very helpful. I may take a break and go and read. All right, that's okay. So one of the things I wanted to talk to us about, Abraham mentioned it a bit, but I just want to reinforce it, is the quality of our writing, the quality of our writing. Please, guys, remember that you are not writing for your child. You're not, what you have written down is not your child that will read it. It's a donor, it's a funder. That person may be a professor and have some biases. The person may be a professor, and you remember when a professor is reviewing your document, you know that there's a standard of writing that that person is already expecting if you are requesting for $20,000, $50,000. And so they may just have that bias against you when they are seeing so many errors and then there's no coherence in what you're writing. Some of us, we actually, we did write as if it was a primary 6 student that we're sending the proposal to. Okay, so that means you need to put in effort to improve on the quality of your writing. This sector you have found yourself, the nonprofit sector, if you want to do this for the long run, if you want to do this for the long term, not that it's a hobby, it's a side something you're just doing. You want to really build an organization that becomes an institution. You want to grow it. You have to learn how to write too, because you will write proposal, you will write reports to your stakeholders, you will write letters to stakeholders, maybe introducing your organization to them or talking about an issue. Remember, you are doing advocacy. As part of the work you're doing, you're trying to influence maybe a policy change. You will write advocacy briefs. You will write letters to government agencies. I mean, you don't want some of the things you people, you can't send, they will just throw it out. If that is the quality of a letter that a permanent secretary of a government agency will read and you're talking about a policy, they'll just throw it out of the window. So why am I saying this? Pay attention to how you write. Is really very important. If it means you going to YouTube to watch videos, how to write essay, and please do it. If it means going to take a master class on writing, or even going to that school, this life, shame not there inside if you want to grow. If it means going to a secondary school that is close to you, to go and talk to their English teacher. How possible will it be to have one meeting with you a week to coach me on writing essays, summaries? When we're in secondary school, when our English teacher was pursuing us with assignments to write comprehension and summary, write an essay of how you spent your holiday. It's for at this point of our lives where we would need to write to raise money, write to sell our ideas, write because of our business and our careers. So for some of you, we have identified a big gap, not because you're not intelligent, not because your ideas are not good enough, but the vessel or the channel through which you are communicating your ideas, which is now the writing, there's a gap that you need to address. For some of you, you can speak very well. Writing because it becomes a problem. For some people, they write very well, but speaking is a problem. But the two things you will really need to grow your organization as a nonprofit leader is speaking and writing. And so if these two things are a challenge for you, you need to find a way to invest in addressing them. Is either invest money to get coaches or invest money to hire staff that will bridge that gap for you, or you invest your time and sleep on YouTube to watch videos to help you on how you can improve your writing. And one thing I have come to realize about writing is that you cannot learn writing by not writing. You must write. The more you do something, the better you get at it. For those of you who know how to drive cars, when I started to learn how to drive, I first went to YouTube. By the time I got to driving school, I knew that I've been wasting my time on YouTube, watching videos on how to drive a car. By the time I even finished classes for driving school, by the time I was on the steering, everything they taught me in the class flew out of my head when I found myself in front of tanker. So you learn how to drive by really driving. After you've gotten all the instructions, you must get on the steering. You start from your 20 kilometers per hour, you increase like that, you drive for tempos, and then you can drive in between cities. It's the same thing with writing. Start by writing 200 words, 300 words, 500 words, 1,000 words. When I started my master's program, the first day in class, all of us just resumed from our various countries. The man just hit us with, tomorrow, come with a 250-word written piece of this article. We thought it was a joke. Many people could not even write it. From 250, they started giving us 500 words. From 500, they started giving us 1,000, 5,000 word written pieces. Because that's how you come, that's how you transfer your ideas, you transfer knowledge. So please, if you have realized that it is a gap for you, you need to work on it. How do you work on it? I've already said that. There's no need to repeat it again, but you need to constantly be writing. Constantly write. The more you write, intentionally paying attention to the guidance you've been given, the better you would get at it. So that's the first thing. Another thing I observed in my reviews is that there's a disconnect between most of the problem analysis and then the project design. So in your problem analysis, you were talking about some issues, and then the activities you came up with and the objective does not speak to those issues. For instance, if you raised issues about maybe lack of interest of teenagers within a community in education, they don't like to go to school. You did your analysis and then you brought up issues like maybe the infrastructure is poor. You brought out an issue that has to do with the rise in criminality, cybercrime, and how attractive it is perceived for this population. You talked about the lack of support from their families. Their parents don't even value education because the older children that they've spent money to send to school, they are back at home with no economic empowerment, no financial source of financial stability. They are also economically vulnerable. And so parents are looking for alternatives, not minding if these alternatives are not legitimate economic sources. You discussed all these issues. You discussed cybercrime. You discussed the culture of get rich quick schemes and all of that. And then we are not seeing how you are addressing these issues in your design, how you are able to tie it back into ensuring that education, engagement in education becomes attractive for this population. So there's a disconnect between your analysis and what you are proposing that you will use to solve that problem. And here's what I think that is holding you back. All of you here, you've been doing something before in your organizations, and then you are very emotionally tied and connected to your current projects. You want to continue to do them. That is one of the assumptions I have about why this is happening. And one of the things, like for some of you that you see some of my comments, I think you have to begin to go outside of that. So you need to begin to think outside of the current activities that you are doing based on the analysis. Whatever activity you're coming up with that you want to implement, the project objective that you have framed, it should be directly in line with addressing the problem you identified in your analysis, addressing the root causes that you identified in your analysis. It has to be a linkage. You cannot be discussing that there's a prevalence of hepatitis B in a particular community, and then the only activity you are coming up with, or the objective and everything you want to do, it just revolves only around awareness raising. Will raising of awareness alone on that disease reduce the prevalence? You have to go into testing, linking treatment, linking them to service providers where they can get treatment, where they can get care. So you need to begin to see beyond the activities you already know, and then begin to think, okay, I have done this analysis, and because of the research that you have done, you've identified, and because of the time you have spent brainstorming, you have identified some deeper issues that you didn't really know were really critical before. How would you address this issue? Especially if you have the capacity to address them. So guys, don't just gloss over what you're writing. Don't just put things there. There should be, what you write should be an output of a very thoughtful process and a thorough process. There must be a linkage between the issues you have discussed and the activities and objectives you have come up with to solve the problem. It's like you have discussed with a patient. The patient, you did a lab test, you've identified all the root causes. You know that there's a high load of maybe the malaria parasite in the person's blood. And the activity you're coming up with is to tell the person to drink water morning, afternoon, evening, and just take paracetamol. How will that solve the problem? That's the approach that some of you used. Your analysis, you have brought out issues, but the objective is not speaking adequately enough. The activities will not really address this problem. And so by the time the funder reviews the document, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. There must be a linkage. Also, one of the things, I think it's something we mentioned before, the lack of coherence in your writing. Your points must flow. So when you write, read it. Give it to another person. Just give it to a colleague. Just help me read this. And then strengthen the quality of the written piece. See, I'm still saying bullet points within essays. There's no, when you're writing an essay, there's no bullet point. There's no breakage. It's flow. It flows. It's a story. And the story must start from somewhere. The beginning of the story must provide some context. The problem analysis must provide some context, or even as you are describing your project, must have some context. Then the body must address the key issues. The body must address these key issues, address the outcomes you want to create, and then every essay, every written piece has a closing. For some, it is just hanging. It's not closing with at the end of the day in one line, this is what's going to happen. This is the value that we are bringing to the community, and that's why we need their support. And also the use of data, I think we've talked about that before. Don't be, you want to do a project in Nigeria, don't bring in data from Cameroon, don't bring in data from Malawi. It has to be relevant to that population. It has to be relevant to that population. Some sources are not credible enough. Don't be citing a blog that maybe it is your friends that wrote about the blog. It has to be national dailies. It has to be websites of, leading organizations within the sector. If you don't see anything, talk about your own research that you did primarily. But there must be data, national level data. You are talking about lack of interest in school. Please pick data on national level, the school dropout rates, state level, school dropout rates. That should support your discussion. That should support your discussion. And for some of you, please, in the training, I talked about balance. Do not let your analysis become like a university thesis, a literature review. Some of you, what you wrote was just 100% review of academic papers all through. The literature review is to support what you know that the issue is from engaging with the population. If you just review literature review, you've not done anything, because it's just at the surface level, and maybe you're not even talking about a real population. It's speculation and assumption. That research is to support it. It's not the main thing that you're discussing. It's to support your ideas, support conversation.
Yeah, maybe I could just chip this in.
Yeah.
Please don't cite academic papers at all in proposal writing. If you cite, this is for our learners, don't cite academic research work at all. Those things are like they are a no-no. I will give us an example of how to get data for every type of organization that you are representing. There are always sector clusters. Could be WASH, could be education, could be protection, child protection, women protection. It could be civil rights or rule of law. It could be health, nutrition. There are always sectors, clusters, where these INGOs and national NGOs, they meet, sometimes on a weekly basis, sometimes on a monthly basis. Now, in each of those clusters, the pressing needs, let's say for education, in certain locations are discussed. The data and the data sources are referenced. So there's no way you as a national organization who makes it a priority to be a member of any of these relevant networks will not have access to this data. So one thing we do wrong as national NGOs that are trying to start up, we try to start up alone. But as the representative of a national organization, try to start up in partnership. Try to start up in networks. That way, you will get yourself implementing projects that you otherwise would have not been funded for. You get yourself merged with other organizations in a consortium, implementing projects. Those are the things that you can now cite when it comes to your organization capacity statement, your organization experience. You can now cite these things. We have implemented XYZ together in partnership with XYZ organization before, and we now have the technical staff, we have the financial management structures to be able to on our own implement. Like for instance, we implemented in XYZ education and we are an active member in this education cluster where all the issues about education are being discussed and we know what the needs are and the approach to actually solving this problem. Because all donors, I repeat, all donors, even for the INGOs, Rescue, NRC, IOM, Save the Children, Mercy Corps, that apply to proposals, you will still find sections of the proposal that say, what relevant networks do you belong in? So they want to know how on the ground are you? How rooted are your ears to the ground? How involved are you already? Do you have the pressing data? If things changes in the approach to solving this problem, how quickly will you know? Are you in line with the strategic approach that the other organizations working in those locations have decided to follow to solve that problem? So in terms of data, in terms of things to reference, I would highly discourage referencing or citing academic papers.
Okay, Abraham, what about, there are some academic research that actually target a specific population.
Yeah.
And then let's say, let's take example, my bachelor's degree research.
Yeah.
That research was agri-based. I did a comparative economic analysis of poultry and the fishery enterprises in a specific location. And I surveyed about 100 farmers.
Okay.
For both people who were involved in fish production, people who were involved in poultry production. We looked at the constraints to their activities, constraints to the profitability of those businesses. And then I did an analysis. At the end of the day, we're able to say, okay, these are the constraints in these sectors. This is the distribution of men. And we noticed that only, for instance, let me assume that, because I don't know the data off heart, it's about 15 years ago or so. But let me assume that I observed that it was only 30% of women that were really engaged in fish production, for example. And let's say now, years later, I have a nonprofit that tries to increase the participation and engagement of women in that sector, increase profitability of women-led enterprises and blah, blah, blah. Is that research, if it was more recent, not relevant for a project I'm talking about? I mean, we know that there are some academic research that are abstracts. We know that there are some academic papers that are just systematic literature review. But there are some academic research that people really engage in a specific population, like I've just said, interacted with women in that sector. And then you have, data, primary data for that specific population. For someone that wants to do an agri project in that same location, can that person not cite that academic research since it was really very specific and niched to a problem?
Okay, I think in response to that, the general consensus for the donor organization is that they feel it's risky to reference an individual.
An individual, okay.
Yes, so that is the problem with academic research. You are either referencing the work of a professor, it is not an institution.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the case for that. Then secondly, many of the academic papers, they go out of date. Like the, how would I put this? I'm missing a particular line, a particular word. But you see, academic researches are usually premised upon some certain rigid, unchanging
theories.
Yes.
Would you say most of them are based on assumptions?
Thank you. That is what I was trying to get now.
Yeah, because what Ruki was saying, actually, if you are very sure that the academic research you did is actually engaged, you can go ahead and maybe make some reference with that if you are sure that there was perfect or total engagement.
Okay, so to be safe, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rene. So let's help them.
Generally, what Abraham is saying is true, because most of them, I would say 80% of those academic researchers, they are actually based on speculations. Yes, I think that's what he's trying to say.
But if this research was done by your organization, if it's a primary data funded through another project, please, by all means, reference it. It shows your strength. It shows what you have been doing relevant to that problem. But if it's an individual, unless there is no secondary data that you can pick, please try as much as possible to stay away from it.
Yeah, I know that's what Abraham, thank you so much for bringing that. Let's see, because for some of the most of the proposals I've done, the data that we use, the ones that were successful, were actually primary research from the organization, like from their baseline, from their impact assessments and all of that. And we use that most times. And so even the academic ones we used was just to support what the organization has already done. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Abraham. So you're not using standalone academic research. I know what Abraham is saying, because Abraham reviews proposal as a donor, selects projects that will get funded in his organization. All right. And so if he's saying that this is the new trend, then you want to listen to him. So I know your question is, does that mean journals, published academic research can be used? Cannot be used. So except that journal is from an institution. We know there are journals that are written by UN Women. There are publications by UN Women. There are publications that are sector specific, maybe talking about what, that's the clusters he was talking about. Maybe from something association for education, or something network for hygiene, for tropical medicine, like that. So even if you want to use all those publications, stay away from publications that are authored by individuals. And then use publications from institutions that are development related. So for someone in the medical line, you can use a publication from the Nigerian Medical Association, right? So for someone talking about policies and all of that, if the NBA has, Abraham, I also want you to validate the advice I'm giving, because these are networks, these are legal and credible networks that are driving development in specific areas. And so don't use an individual publication, but use a publication by an institution. For some of you that have said we should get into breakout rooms, I think I've talked about all I wanted to raise up. So we're quickly going to get into breakout rooms for 30 minutes. For 30 minutes, maximum 40 minutes. What we're going to do in those breakout rooms is for you to ask your specific questions where you are confused with. The confusions you have, because let me quickly talk about the survey. From the survey, the pool, we conducted a pool yesterday, and then 6 people, let me view the votes. So we have 6 votes saying that you are gradually gaining clarity on how to write a proposal. We have 5 votes for people saying that the reviews from coaches, yes, help them. I didn't have time to do this into percentages, so I'm just using the raw figure. The reviews from coaches has helped me identify my gaps and how to address them. 3 votes from people who feel overwhelmed with the task. And then one person says they don't even understand what's going on here. They don't even understand the training. So whatever gray areas you have, whatever confusion you have that has to do with how you're engaging with the work so far, let me tell you, it's hard for a donor to give you 5 weeks. Even if the donor has given you 5 weeks, remember, you're not responding only to that. You're not writing only that one proposal for the 5 weeks. You may see 3 opportunities that you want to apply for this month. And so you don't even have 5 weeks for one proposal. So please, we are going to get into breakout rooms. Abraham will take one group because we're about, I don't know, we're about 18 participants or 17 participants tonight. So obviously there are about 7 who are not here. They'll watch the replay and we will not go back on, you know, what the grounds we have covered. So we're going to put some people in Abraham's group. I and Renee will be in another group.
Learn that.
Or Renee, I think Renee, you should take what you're ready to take up a
There
group,
are so many
right?
questions wanted us. Why explain? how
Renee,
to
what do you
write?
advise? We split into 3 groups so we can cover more grounds.
You can do one group, no problem. I'm still hanging around. I've not reached the house. So because of this conference, I decided to park my car and then
Are you serious? So
yeah,
should I give you
That's
one
fine.
group or you
Yes.
stay with me? I give you one.
We can stay together for
We'll
now.
stay together. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
still in transit, so please. Okay. So we're going to split out all those questions. Ask them.
Okay, if you permit me just 1 second before we split, please.
Okay.
This is
go
just
ahead.
general for everyone. I will not take much time. I know
All right.
a lot of people are still struggling with their titles. You know, with the title of your project can make or mar your proposal. That is clear. If you don't begin with your good title and you think that it's in the body that you develop the work, the reviewers don't have time for that. When they look at your title, it suits them, they continue. If your title doesn't make sense, they abandon it. I've done reviews a lot and I've seen where people have been, you know, they have lost a lot of points through titles. Like, for example, Emma Mungut, I don't know if Emma is in. I tried to write down something. She said she wrote something. I don't know if it's
Emma
in Swahili,
here.
if she wrote in Swahili or in English, but I wrote it on her, you know, on her page. So go through that.
Yeah.
Please make sure your titles
I
are
also added it. Yeah, I also added too. I saw another one in a local language and I said, you have to bring the English version that says exactly the value you're bringing, the population is relevant for and where it's going to happen.
Exactly. Like, is it Chai Mbakwe? You wrote your title right at maybe the executive summary. That's where you wrote your title. Actually, the title section was completely empty. So please, let's take the title very, very serious.
Okay. So we're going to go into the rooms now, and then you ask for support in those rooms, clarity and all of that in those rooms for 30 minutes. We're going to host for 30 to 40 minutes. Okay. And so breakout rooms, assign. Abraham, there are specific people you wanted. So I'll assign manually and create 2 rooms.
Just shoot them anyhow, just anyhow it comes, we'll be fine.
Okay, anyhow it comes. Okay, let me do
Yes,
it automatic because we don't have time. Maybe next time I'll recreate the rooms, assign automatically. Abraham, list, you said KG. And I said I was going to give you Nancy. I said I was going to give you Werimo. And KG and who? Stella, was it Stella?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ruth, 6.
Ruth.
Yeah.
I'll
give you Emma. You looked at Emma's document today, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so for room 2, we have Renee. I can't see myself in the participants list. Sorry. So for room 2, we're going to assign Renee, Joshua, Jill, Azire, Elizabeth, Ebenezer. Ebenezer, you're doing work around policy, strongly around policy, and that's put you in Abraham's group.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Don't worry, anywhere you find
Ebenezer,
yourself.
you can come, don't worry.
I don't know how to even assign you, I'm done. Okay. I think I figured that out. Ebenezer, where are you? Okay. So Open all rooms. All participants have been invited to a breakout room. So just transfer yourself into the breakout rooms now.
Hasn't popped up.
Okay, sorry, we've not assigned you to a room, so I'll assign you to room 1. So if the invite to join a breakout room has popped up, please join. Everybody get into your breakout rooms, and then for 30-40 minutes. Please, everyone, get into your breakout rooms. Chinyere, please get into your breakout room. Isaiah, join your breakout room, please. I'm in room 2. I and Renee, we're in room 2. And then the others are in room 1. Isaiah, please get into your room. Chinyere, get into your breakout room now. Hello, guys. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great. So this is the first time I'm using breakout rooms in our session. I hope I'll be able to navigate across the 2 rooms to see what's happening. And I hope everyone has also joined the breakout room, and then there's no one. Chinyere is yet to join. Anyway, I hope she's able to figure that out. All right, so we have 8 people here with me and Coach Renee. So what are you struggling with? You've done 2 weeks, you've worked 2 modules, and you've worked in specific sessions of your proposal. What are you struggling with, so that we can give you tailored advice here now that the rooms are smaller and we can finish on time?
I go first?
Yes, please.
First, I just want to request, we are together with Elizabeth. I don't know whether, if possible, she can go to the other room so that we grasp.
Okay, you want me to assign Elizabeth to the other room?
Yes.
Okay.
So that we can be able now to later
Okay,
compare.
so Elizabeth, move to room 1. So I hope she heard, and I did not just send her to. Okay, she's in room 1. All right. Anything else?
Okay. Now, I think based on the proceedings,
Okay.
getting more clearer
Okay.
on problem identification. I mean problem statement.
Okay.
Most cases, like just what we submitted, based on the review and the comments you shared,
Yeah.
we've sat down and really relooked at our problem.
Okay.
In terms of being very specific, like not generalizing sexual reproductive health as a challenge, but under sexual reproductive health, we have different components. So what is it that is a problem that we are trying to address? Number 2, in that very exact problem that we're trying to address, you will find that there are other accompaniments. Like if the problem is about teen pregnancy is coming as a result of lack of access to comprehensive sexual reproductive health services, which comes as a result of maybe lack of FP commodities and all that. So then when we want to remain with teen pregnancy as a problem, then how do we bring in other accompaniments like lack of commodities and lack of youth-friendly services where these youth can go get information and services to avoid this teen pregnancy. So I think that's where we still having a mix-up. That's my starting point.
Okay, Renee, can you help with that?
So I just want to ask if you went through the problem tree
exercise.
Did you go through that video?
Yes.
Hello?
He said he did.
Yeah. So there's a lot of noise here.
Let me check. Okay, so I've muted. Okay, go ahead.
No, you spoke about being specific in your sexual reproduction, problem that you are trying to analyze, right?
Chinyere, please, can you mute your mic?
Yeah, if I understand what you are struggling with is that maybe you need to link this with the population you are talking about. Maybe you are talking about women, right? Or young girls. I don't know. What is your population?
The population is adolescent girls.
Adolescent girls.
Yes.
So you need to be very specific with the age group you are talking about when it comes to sexual reproduction. That's, for me, that's what I think you should start by identifying in your problem, because you cannot generalize. Or maybe you are talking about women, we can understand. And again, if you are talking about sexual reproduction, what is the locality? Which is the location you are talking about? You cannot just talk specific, generally. And that's why we have the issue of giving general statistics without being specific. Can you understand? Azar, are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Yeah, I hope I'm answering your question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll come back to you again if it's not clear. And I just received a message from Joshua, and I think we should just attend to him because his device is almost going off. So yeah. Joshua, let's help you out so that you can leave immediately. We'll answer your question. So please, what's the question from you, Joshua?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The the project proposal, the proposal writing is actually getting strenuous, and it's more for me more complicated than I thought. As an English expert, because I study English language in my first degree, and I don't really have issue with writing essays and everything. Okay. But when it comes to breaking down this problem analysis of a thing, I ran into a problem because yes. I was doing so many things in the office, and you actually in my project activity, you said it doesn't suit what I was talking about, or maybe the project design.
It's not adequate.
Yes, so I've gone again, I've reviewed it, I've added to it, and I tailored it towards all your questions. So by the time Coach Rene will review, the only comment Coach Rene puts for me there was that my project title, he had issue with it, and it's too long. I don't know what I can do. Okay. Because I have to mention the specific location, the target something. I just had to change from accessible education, I changed it to access to education, like you talk. So I actually want you to help me out.
Okay, that, so the solution is this. Coach Rene will write a new title for you. So when he looks at the document, he will change the title to what he thinks it should be. So before your phone goes off,
I will help you with that. Don't worry.
All right. Then secondly, Coach Ruki, you see, what you said now is actually what I want to plead you to help us with. You see, that is what will help us a lot in this grant writing proposal. Now, we have we have been trying our best, but some adjustment that you think we can do, like what Coach Rene will do now, writing a topic for me, maybe where I supposed to
write it. Okay, so the thing is this, we cannot rewrite the entire piece, you know.
Definitely.
Especially, except, I mean, you remember in the onboarding, I told you guys, this was more like a CSR. Compared to other clients or people, I know a colleague that charged $497 to teach it. She's not even reviewing. She's not even reviewing because it takes a lot. I'm writing my dissertation. It takes a lot of time. Okay, so the best way support we're giving to you is what we got. Like if you notice in your log frame, I did not just bother. I just went ahead to reframe the objective for you. I said, I just put a suggestion, this one, output suggest. I said I will, because that is something straightforward I can do for you. And then you see the example, you can run with it. All right. Okay, it's good you're an English teacher. Meaning I don't have to break my head for you on what an essay.
For grammar, exactly.
Or what grammatical error. So you will figure that out. This is technical writing. And technical writing marries normal, the language, the grammar within English, and then the sector specific, maybe language or industry standards.
Yes.
All right. Now, for your analysis, maybe you want to go and maybe look up on, this is not descriptive. Yes, there's a bit of descriptive writing in the problem analysis, but it's more of an evaluation. You are evaluating a situation. It's a situation analysis. It's a situation analysis. You don't just say women in this community are unable to afford the basic needs of life and end it there and jump to another thing. When you raise a point that this is your core issue, we want you to evaluate the situation.
Yes.
We want you to describe the situation and also evaluate the impact. So this one that women are not able to afford their basic needs, how are they being impacted? They're not able to afford decent accommodation, and so they are vulnerable to sexual exploitation. They are not able to afford access to healthcare, and so their children suffer from maybe non-communicable diseases and all of that. So you are analyzing that situation where that person is. If you have malaria, the malaria has an impact on you. You will not go to work. You will lose your appetite. You may even start seeing men like trees. You're not seeing properly again. The malaria would affect your strength. That's the impact of malaria on you. So in your analysis, you would describe and evaluate how that malaria has impacted on you or the population. And then we also want to know the root cause. Because remember, you are not the victim. The victim may not know the root cause of their problem. You are an expert coming to tell the funder to give you money to go and solve the problem. And so because you are an expert, you understand malaria, you can tell the funder the root cause, that there's a high load of the malaria parasite of the plasmodium in their blood. This is due to their exposure to the vector, which is now the mosquito. And then there's a high prevalence and a high load of mosquito within this specific population because of stagnant water bodies all around, ponds, because of hygiene, poor hygiene practices and culture, because there's limited access to mosquito nets to protect them. Evaluate the problem. And now that we have discussed the root causes in that essay, we expect that whatever you are designing will speak to these root causes. You come up with a way that an activity that will try to change their culture so that they will start practicing better hygiene cultures or hygienic behaviors. They ensure that there's no water body around, unnecessary drum of water that they have left for 3 years, or just ponds around that are, and then they ensure they are clearing their surroundings. They ensure that they have mosquito net. If it's broken, they can sew it. They go to the health center to go and collect mosquito nets. Because even if you give, what your project, you just told us you only distribute anti-malaria. When they swallow that anti-malaria, next week they will come down with malaria again, because they are not sleeping under nets. Everywhere is untidy. You've not addressed those other issues. So paying school, when you do discussion and you talk about, the load on parents, this and that culture, I want you to think outside of your scholarship something, and think of what other solutions can we bring in. Do you know that you can partner with the community and have a community trust fund that actually helps the indigent people within the community to get back in school? You need to begin to look outwards of what you're currently doing. I've spent a lot of time with you, but I hope it gives you more clarity when you go back to your documents.
Okay.
All right.
So Joshua, just to add that, see, the funder is looking at the solution that you are proposing. In the midst of all what Coach Rukish just said, what is the solution you are now proposing from all what you listed? That is where the attention is mostly focused.
Yeah.
But it's true that that solution is what is being funded. That's the impact you want to create. That's the solution. You get it?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So why I'm particular about that is because there was a proposal we wrote in either 2017. The analysis, everything, that was one of the rare cases where the funder comes back to you with the issue letter, like Abraham talked about during the open session. And they came back and said, see, we like your analysis, we like the design, but we think there's something missing. You talked about some specific issues which your program design have not addressed. Please update the program design and send back to us. And you know why that happened? Because the proposal was targeted at a very specific location where the problem is undeniable. When you open CNN, is there. You open Al Jazeera, is there. You open NTA, the problem is there. So some of you are doing things that are not really in demand. You are doing things based on, oh, it's what I like. It's not really a big need in the community. And you cannot argue enough to justify why they should give you money. That's a conversation for another day. So who else? Let's hear you. We've addressed Joshua. We've talked about Isaiah for a bit. We may come back to him if he doesn't, if there's no follow-up question. Dr. Chinomso.
Good evening once again.
Yes, good evening.
Okay. I really don't know how to go about this, seeing that the last update has not been reviewed, but I would have loved to see if what I have written made a lot of sense compared to what it was before, because at least right now, I was able to kind of change the topic, the title. Instead of saying lack of interest, I have to put it as high rate of school dropouts. This particular issue is unfortunate that I have not been able to sit down to think deep. But
which you have to.
No, I have to do that. Honestly, I have to say, I have written one proposal to a body and it was accepted, but they asked for a document I don't have then.
What did they ask for?
They asked for our accounts, audited accounts.
Okay.
Then I don't have such. So they said I should try back when I'm able to audit my account.
Which funder is that, if I may ask?
One Can I really, I will go through
When
my
you get it, you just send it to me as a text message, as a WhatsApp message.
Yeah,
You may want to reach back to them if you've been able to audit your account.
Yeah. So this one is a problem in this community.
I know.
A very serious.
I know. I'm familiar with that axis. I'm from Delta.
Yeah. Okay. To an extent that
I know that area.
Okay. Yeah. To an extent that the community chief, there was one occasion we wanted to do an outreach. My group went to meet with the chiefs. So the head of them told us that the way the community is becoming is a growing concern to him, because
let me ask you one question. Sorry to cut you short, but I want to ask you because I see that proposal, you are bringing in two problems into the proposal. And this is the two problems.
Okay.
See, the lack of interest in education, which also is the root cause of the high school dropout rate, is one problem. And then the rise in criminality, the cybercrime, prostitution is another problem.
Another problem.
Yeah.
What I see you doing is bringing these two into one proposal.
Okay.
That's what I see you do. You're bringing, because in the discussion, you talked about the two. You talked about the lack of, you can integrate the two, but you must integrate it well if you want to do the two.
Okay.
So I saw that you have brought in these two, which are main problems, which can be projects that are independent. You have brought them, sir, yeah?
I think this is what he's trying to say, that maybe the lack of interest in education that has culminated into school dropout
rate, and then they are now vulnerable to criminality. So that is the way he can link it. If he links it that way, that's why I asked you in your proposal that this economic empowerment that you want to do, the engaging them in different skills and all of that, so that they can begin to earn legitimate income. Do you want to do it in a way that it's an incentive for them to go back to school?
Yes. Yes. Why I said yes? The history I know about their behavior is tied to poverty. That one you cannot rule it out. They have high rate of poverty in families. So these teenagers are not feeling that they have what it takes, which is that cybercrime. You understand? So they are no longer going to school because they just want to focus on that cybercrime, fraudulent activities, to be able to navigate that poverty. So
what do you want to now? See, there's poverty. We know that there are a lot of issues that poverty is the root cause.
Yeah.
You've talked about poverty. You've talked about the lack of interest in education. Education is no longer attractive to them. You've talked about increasing engagement in criminality. Now, an organization can decide to pick any one of these issues to focus on. So let me ask you right now, what change will be of priority to you? Is it to end poverty?
Okay.
Wait, let me just finish asking the question. You would need to pick only one that you want to see.
Yeah.
So is it that you want to mitigate poverty, reduce poverty, or you want to focus on reducing school dropout rates, or you want to mitigate their engagement in criminality?
Cybercrime, yeah.
As a core focus. Because let me tell you, it has a ripple effect. When you touch one, it will rub off on some certain areas, but you need to pick one that will really be the outcome that is of priority for your organization, because it's going to influence your project title, your project objective, your project activities, and your narrative. So where do you want to focus? What is core to your mission? Ending poverty, reducing school dropout rates, or mitigating engagement in criminality? You need to decide where you want to stand as your standpoint.
Doctor.
While you are thinking about that, Coach Rene, let's leave him to reflect. By the time we finish with one or two people, he must have made a decision.
That's right.
Of
He has very good ideas, though. So
yes,
try to
and those places have that issue. In fact, the whole of that has this worry, those areas. I was born in Ughelli, so I know what you're talking about. So
good evening, ma.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
And good evening, everyone. Thank you, Coach Uki and Coach Rene. I got your feedback, and on the I think that is from my statement I submitted late, and this week I didn't I didn't work on the
task.
on the yes, I tried to do it, but I noticed
so
I
where
won't
do
be
you
able to
need
meet
support?
up. So that was the reason I dropped that note. So I noticed that you said that in my root causes that it's a bit ambiguous. It looks like I'm copying from some way to come and paste.
Yeah.
So I've been working on most of those things I listed are actually a problem, because I've been working in those areas on the health programs. I even have done a program on hypertension assessment, and I do a lot on hypertension, diabetes, and eye health.
Okay.
So I was saying the other day, I didn't even know that I had a lot of primary data. I didn't know how to use them. So with that call from my lecturer to bring some of those records I had, I have been keeping redundant.
Okay, so if I get you clearly, meaning you've written an article before about all of this, and then you brought it.
I've not written an article. I'm saying that we have been going for outreaches. So from my record, like the record I have, the people we met during the outreaches, like we take their vital signs and all that before treatment. So from the record, I've seen that there is a high rate of hypertension there. And when I compared, I noticed that it is women that is on the high side than like we have more percentage of women than the men, but we have more hypertension there. And you know that with this, I try to link the hypertension because it results in other morbidities, comorbidities. So, but yeah, they don't have diabetes is not on the high side. That we have a few people with diabetes, but
and so you're
with
focusing
the
on
hypertension, we have more. What we do is prevention of non-communicable diseases.
Okay.
So I'm trying to say that when you call my attention to it, that my courses, like my root courses, were looking ambiguous, it's as if I copied somewhere. So that is the reason I'm saying that the courses I stated there, I've worked there, and it's actually what is happening.
Okay.
We don't have eye clinics there. We only have some health centers. You can meet only community health workers. That is the truth. you don't have nurses, like people that
Okay, see
graduated
what I
from
was
School of
saying.
Nursing.
See what I was saying, because I'm in your document now.
Okay.
So there's a part. Our findings show the following as the root causes. That paragraph was up in your analysis, and that
Okay.
same paragraph is reflected at the bottom again. So that's what
Okay.
I was saying, that it's like you pasted, cut and paste it up, paste it again in another section at the bottom.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
So that paragraph, if you look up like a few paragraphs upward, is there. That same paragraph exact is close to your closing paragraph. It's appearing twice in your write-up. So that's what I mean.
Okay, so
It's
please,
appearing twice.
maybe by next week, once I'm done with my exams, I will
worries,
start
yeah.
working on all my documents.
Work on it
so that
and see all of the things we've been sharing today. Today is like deliverance service. Use them to do your write-up. Renee, you came in late. It was serious deliverance. All right, so that's okay. Let's talk to Jill. I
Thank you.
apologize. Jill, you were supposed to be the first person to call up. It's midnight in Kenya. My apologies. Jill, please. I remember telling you to work with, I paired you with, is it Joachim?
Yes, you can.
Because I looked at it, it was leafy vegetables and all of the things.
Yeah.
I just said, just work together. Well, since you are coming from the same umbrella organization. So what are you struggling with? Because you people's document is almost empty. After that analysis, I've not seen another thing inside.
We submitted it, but very late.
Okay.
Yeah, the second one. So our project title, the project title is Soil Management and African Leafy Vegetable Production. Although I don't agree with Joachim on the African leafy vegetable production, because I think we can focus on the soil management first and address the
Those two things. It's just your title should just reflect what are you trying to do. What about leafy? Are you trying to, all of the things you're doing, is it trying to contribute to food security? Or so focus on food security. Less of the process, more of the outcome. So when you're saying soil management, what about it? So when you're now tying it to environmental protection, environmental sustainability, you're bringing it to food security, people can now see the value of what you're doing. All right? Okay, so I've not seen the updated version. In my next stream of reviews, I'll be able to see it. Renee and Abraham were able to know what's going on in the document and help. But I want you and Joachim, or where did I send him to? Maybe I sent him to room 1, but I want you guys to work together. I understand that, yes, projects are going on, reports are going on, but in the midst of the project going on, reports going on, you have to find money to continue to work, which is the proposal writing. So if you've not been going through the master classes, the workshops in your toolkit, go through the workshop. I even added an additional video, which is and then synthesize the learning from those videos and do the documents. Do your analysis. We've said a lot about coherence in the essay. We've said a lot about how you need to do a situation analysis. So if you do that problem tree, it will take you have moved a lot of the burden.
The problem tree is straightforward. It's even straightforward.
If you're able to identify what the main problem is, the starting point, your start point is the core problem you want to address. Is it in food? Is it a problem of environmental protection? Are you having problem of erosion? Are you having problem of food insecurity? Or there's inadequate yield, declining yield of African legume farmers is also placed. Pick that start problem and then begin to map out what is the impact. Maybe that because of this, is reducing maybe the topsoil and then increasing the vulnerability to erosion, to flood, and that. You all know how, whatever problem you pick, whatever problem you decide that this is our starting point, it has its own effects or impact. It also has the root causes. This is what will form your project design. If I choose that the problem I want to work on is the prevalence of hypertension among women between 45 and 70 in Cross River State, I just pick it. So this prevalence of hypertension, what is the impact? Increased death rates among this population, increased risk of cancer or maybe cardiovascular diseases, and blah, blah, blah. So what is the root cause? Why do they have hypertension? So the burden, the pressure from home, trauma, unresolved trauma, financial, economic hardship, this and that. And then I can then begin to design my program to say, in addition to, I have to raise awareness about self-care, what they can begin to do to take care of themselves, and then access to services, support services. And then another thing is, I can do, if my core as an organization is not economic empowerment, I can just provide information on how they can link up for opportunities to empower them economically, or I collaborate with another organization. So as I'm doing my health awareness and education and care, that organization is doing economic empowerment. So all of the many questions we have, if we sit down to do the problem tree and flip it to become the objective tree, it answers many of these questions. So Jill, my charge to you is to go back to Joachim. You both should decide and then work and do that problem tree well. And you see those points that you will pick, they've now formed the discussion on that part of the proposal, on the problem statement, the problem analysis. The root cause, when you know that one of the root causes, maybe there's insufficient, let me just pick anything. Let's say there's a skills gap or a knowledge gap. You talk about it in the body. So because of the gap in knowledge or the limited access to targeted information, training, and resources on this, farmers are unable to do this. Similarly, because you have to tell the story around it. It's not just to list this one comma, this one comma, this one comma, this one, full stop. You need to tell the story and connect all of these issues you've identified and narrate it in a way that it makes meaning to the reader. Not just to put it one point. Malaria, no mosquito net, comma. Untidy environment, comma. Stagnated water bodies all around, comma. Or and poor hygiene, full stop. It makes no meaning until you're able to contextualize to say poor hygiene practices within families in a way that they live. You can then talk about the water that is everywhere. So it must just make sense. You know, when you watch a movie and you feel that there are a lot of gaps, the story is not complete. It's the same thing with the proposal. So by the time we do our next review, we'll be able to now know where you are and what you need to do to get ahead. All right. So that's it, Jill.
So Jill, go ahead and formulate a good title first.
All right. And so Isaiah, you have anything to talk to you, and then we can now move everybody. Go and join Abraham. Isaiah, any other thing? Isaiah, who are you working with, Isaiah? Who were you paired with under Sasarambi? Because you're working on sexual and reproductive health. You were paired with Madam Carol, paired you with someone else. Is it Elizabeth you're working with? All right. So we would be going back to, in the absence of any other specific question, we need to go back to the room.
I've not replied you.
Oh,
I haven't
sorry.
replied.
Oh, yeah, reply. You reply me.
Okay, I think reducing poverty will be fine. Why I am using that option is that with the level of exposure they have gotten, I don't think there's any other thing that can appeal to them than, you know, channeling their energy to something that will be okay, as in, like, when I say okay, that will take their eyes off that cyber crime
and prostitution,
fraudulent activity. But they need something that will assure them that if they learn this, they can still be able to have funding and then do whatever they
take care of their
want.
personal needs.
Yes.
All right. So just find the time to make it reflect in your proposal. So the discussion is good because you talked about, oh, people don't value education and all of that, and they're not even thinking about that. So it's just some small adjustments that you need to do in the body of your analysis and all of that to speak more, because it's heavily towards that side. So just do the small errors that shifts it from the rate of dropout, because you cannot just be talking to people, say, come back to school. To do what? Why should they come back to school?
Yeah.
You know, and so by the time we look at the documents, we'll be able to, so just find the time to readjust it to what you really want to focus on, that you know it's really a problem. If you're talking about school dropout rates, let's say a 10-year-old girl, it depends on the population, the age group you really want to target. If it's a 10-year-old girl, 8-year-old girl, or 8-year-old boy, you know that you should not be teaching this one how to make money. He should go back to school by all means. And so how can you do that? So maybe you want to now do a lot of advocacy in the local community so that community will say, you must go to school. If you are between this age and this age, and we see you out of school. So there's community police that will find your family members. So, but if it's more teenage, like 16, 18 going, you know, they need to begin to talk about income, because families have even transferred body to them. You have to pay for this. You need to begin to earn. You need to begin to pay bills in the community. All right?
Yeah.
So rethink it. Let's be clear. These young people, within this bracket of young people, there are different age group. Are you talking about 15 to 25? If it's 15 to 25, it will be hard for you to send those people back to class. But when you help them shift from criminality to legitimate earning, there you now begin to teach values. And then they really need to see the vision that you're trying to sell to them.
Yeah.
So just try to retailor it. You're getting closer to where you need to be.
I think Dr. Kojuruki just said it. I was also thinking that same line. Education will help you here. And you have a lot to say about it. You'll not strain too much if you handle that part of it. But anyway, go ahead. Whatever touches your heart, flow with it, please.
Yeah, and elaborate on it in there. But ensure you are not mixing too many things in one proposal for one problem.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So when you want to focus on education, focus on education. If you're focusing on poverty mitigation, focus on that. And focus on the right population.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So for the rest of us, we can exit this group and go back to the main group. Or let me move everybody to group 2. I'll move everybody to group 2 so we can to room 1 so we can gain from whatever conversation is going there.
removing the burden of having you guys to design logic framework, because there are lots of confusion with the logic framework. I don't think many people get what a logic framework means, or how the content of the logic framework should be developed, or where to start from in the logic framework. So there's a lot of misconception about that. So I would advise you that at your level, you should focus on the project plan, which I think Coach Ruki can make mention on. Maybe somewhere later in the weeks of your learning, in the weeks of the class, probably towards the ending of the weeks of the class, she can highlight the proposal plan for you, because I think it's a far easier way for you to start proposal development than for you to start with the logic framework or with an M&E template. It will really be confusing if you start that way. If you start with the proposal plan, you will be able to handle an M&E framework. So I see a comment from somebody saying that they would like to learn it. Yes, you would
We
like to
already
learn
have
it.
the training, so is there anytime you can always learn it and try?
So even if you would like to learn it, I want you to know that the proposal plan is actually a representation of the M&E or the results framework. You just need to know what to move into which part of the results framework. So I think that is the case.
Okay. So hello guys, hope everyone is getting all the support they need. I trust my brother so much. So I'd show us at a glance what it looks like. Abraham, are there people who you've not addressed?
Yes, so our Nigerian brothers, before they attack you. No, they
All
can't
right,
attack
so
you. I'm the one in Nigeria.
let's continue. I'll just put this on my screen. People can look. So this is your project at a glance, without the complexities of means of verification and assumptions.
Yeah.
There's no means of verification here. There's no assumption and all of that here. It just talks about your goal, your objective, the outcome of the objective, the outputs, which are deliverables, and the activities. So while you people are still doing your one of your question and answers and support, I will just leave it on your screen so you can read it. The second video I added, I think I added the day before yesterday, and just said, please, if you have time, you can watch that video. It's now showing as video number 3. So instead of 4 videos, you have 5 videos there. You have time, watch it. I had that class to the earlier, some few weeks ago. Is a beginner's class. So I think it's less technical than the log frame. Later, if you think you're strong enough to look at it's fine. You find time to do the log frame. What if you see a cover proposal and you have to attach log frame? That was why I added that training for you guys. But this is more like the project plan that you can now look at. It just explains everything. It removes all the complexities of means of verification, assumptions, race, and all of that. So while you're continuing your conversations, I leave this on the screen. For those of you who are reading, who are snapping, you can just take a look and see if it's better for you. So you guys can go continue.
Yeah, thank you, Ruki. So we have left our Kenyan colleagues. You can go and sleep. But I would like you to, like I encourage people to do, have feedbacks, note them down, questions that you would like to ask. Please always ensure that you are dropping them on the WhatsApp platform, where they can be answered even before we come into the session. So it will save us a lot of time if we can be getting your real-time concerns, issues, keep dropping them in the WhatsApp, and then they will be answered there on a daily basis. So before we come into the live session, we would have even treated much of the concerns that you have, so that we don't only have this limited time to answer to the things that probably you might have as questions. So that would be my little take for Wemimo, Ima, and Elizabeth. So the floor is open for the Nigerian colleagues to mention their number 1 challenge just their number one challenge or your most important challenge.
Okay, good evening, coach. Good evening, house. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening, please go ahead.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
we
you.
can hear you.
I think my number one challenge after the Coach Ruki's video had to talk about theory of change and log frame. So I have a challenge with my pathway right now. Because according to her in the video, like you already explained, Coach Abraham, that there are different pathways we could take because there are different thematic sessions featured in under the problem analysis or something like that. So the area I'm working with street children. That's what I presented. And I started with looking at maybe homelessness, and then one of the people that are exposed to homelessness are street children, that are victims of homelessness are street children. So by the time I analyzed the problem, and I came up with my problem tree, it looked like there were a number of things to be solved. So my question now is this: which pathway do I go with first?
Okay, I think this is a solid question. You are thinking very, very systematic, and it's a good thing.
Very soon she's
Yes.
going to be one of the coaches in here.
So it's a good thing.
Is that
Now,
Nancy?
that's Anu Oluwapo. Anu Oluwapo. Ade. So
Adeshubumi.
Yes, Adeshubumi. So let me respond to you very quickly. You have a very good line of thought. It shows that you understand what Coach Ruki taught about the problem tree. Now, your guidance for here would be the pathway you should take should be the pathway that is in line with your organization's capabilities, your organization's experience of work, and your thematic focus. No one project can solve all the problems or all the root causes now, because you've identified the problems, you've identified the evidences of the problems, and you've identified the root causes. Now, it is advisable for you to look at your organization and ask yourself these questions. Which of these root causes am I well placed to solve? If you can answer that question, you tick them and ask yourself again, which of these root causes do I have the experience of solving? Narrow it down again. Which of these root causes do I have the resources in terms of network and technical staff to be able to solve? Narrow it down. If you do that, you will write a proposal that you can speak to better. You will have all the register of words to use that shows to the donor you know what you are talking about than if you try to use one project to solve all the root causes. I don't know if you get my point.
Yes, I do.
So always let your proposal flow to your strength. Don't ever allow it go away from where you are strong. Let it always flow to your strength. When you solve problems that you are well placed to solve, you give more lasting solutions and more value to the people that you will serve.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. The next? I see Dr. Chinonso has something to say.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, doctor.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Chinam, so you are just observing in this group.
Yes,
we've addressed yours, but
yeah,
we need to prioritize people that have not had you.
Oh, he's flowing over from your group.
It's carrying over from that side. So when we have addressed everybody on the queue, there's still time. We'll now answer you.
So it looks like the doctor is
You're
not
an
yet qualified.
IDP in this group, please.
I
You are,
don't wait first. You are a refugee, yeah.
I'm telling you.
No problem.
All right, so I think, do we have any other person? We should have. We have Ruth, we have Nancy, we have Ruth, please go ahead.
Okay, Coach, for me, I was a bit overwhelmed because from the last week's module that we went through, the project objectives and everything, I remember Coach Ruki saying that by the time we are done with the project design, the activities and the logical framework, that most of us will have to see that we were lagging behind with our project objective and all of those other thematic proposal writing that we're doing in the first module. So for me, it was a bit difficult for me to be able to piece my objectives initially, and that's why I took to no heart some of the comments that you made in my last work. But this time around, by the time I was done with the project activities, project design, and all of that, it made me go back to reflect on all of the comments that you made from the first module, and then my work. So that delayed it a lot because I spent so much time trying to analyze the project design and all of that and put it together and, in a well thought out format that I had to go back and say, okay, before I submit this project, I must make sure that I correct all of those little details that you commented on. But then again, it was something that I could not
I
just...
think Ruth, you...
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, please go on. I think your network was disturbing for a bit. Or that should be mine.
It's from your part of the world.
So it actually helped me because that's why I was saying I was overwhelmed, because now I have been trying to see how I can get, and then there are some comments that you made here that we don't need to begin to draw up charts and all of that, because at some point it was confusing. I thought maybe we needed to fuse all of those things into our project design and activities to be able to give it some level of weight. But then when I went through your comments and all of the designs I had lined up, for me to be able to marry both of them now became so overwhelming for me. That's why when Coach Rookie posted on the platform that the poll, I had to go and comment that I'm a bit overwhelmed because for me to be able to go back and forth and get it right, but I see that I get a lot of clarity now. And then the objectives for my organization is becoming clearer and the pictures are becoming more vast and open for me to be able to pitch, just like Coach Abraham has said, that we can just pick a particular thematic area and then focus on that area. We may have a particular objective that is a general one, and then we can just pitch on one particular area that we know that our strength lies on in that area. So I think well, I don't know how you're going to help us, because people like us, some of these theories like objectives and all of the framework and all of that, they are a bit cumbersome and tedious. But you have to take into cognizance that some of us are lay people here. This is our first attempt.
So this is more or less what's happening here is it's highly, that's why I just said disclosure from the beginning for week 2, that week 2 is very, very technical. And my mindset was so that whatever level of proposal you find yourself, whatever opportunity, and when you get into the questions, they are highly technical. And the funder is giving you templates like the log frame, all those ones to fill, you'll be able to work with them. That was why I did that. But also, I just had to bring in that other video, which from that video we have. I think I just went about 3 slides. I first discussed the meaning of some of these terminologies that you will find in proposal writing. And so I would recommend that everybody goes through that video. So we started from here. It was the second day of the 2 days masterclass for beginners. So we started from discussing what call for proposal mean, what is a project goal and how to frame it, what's the project objective, what does a project output mean. I know the video on log frame, I said it, but this one might be a simpler version of that log frame class, and then describe what project outputs mean, what activities really mean, what result indicators mean, what is sustainability, and then looking at your project structure at a glance. So you can see what the goal is. I think what is missing here is a title, what a goal is, the project objective, what the outcome. Now, the thing is, every funder have their own, what they're asking for. So you will see a proposal that the funder is asking for the objective and also what the outcomes are. And so we must be able to navigate all these differences when we are writing any proposal at all. Okay, so just be showing it little by little, grasp it. If you want to rewind the video, you rewind, you go forward, and then if you want to do further research, you want to look at the book, do it to really understand. Don't leave it until you understand what is an outcome, an objective. Is there a difference between an objective and an outcome? Is there a difference between framing an objective and framing an outcome statement? When you need to just understand, go for understanding. We're not saying, oh, you must pass or you fail. When you fail, somebody will kill you or somebody will beat you. Understanding should be priority, because when you have understanding, you can execute. You have direction when you have understanding. Okay, so don't feel overwhelmed. Do not feel overwhelmed, all right? Do not feel overwhelmed at all, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and try to like resolve the comments. Don't allow them to pile up. Like resolve them per time. If you allow me to come into your document and put comments, you allow Coach Ruki to come and put comments, you allow
like the whole world is on top of your
that time you be like
Jungle don't mature.
I saved 3 people for the last. I saved Nancy, I saved KG, and I saved Stella for the last. The reason being that these ones appear like they need less support than the others. I know
we
KG
need to Emma. We need to call Emma. Emma is from Kenya.
Yeah, Emma I focused on all the Kenya people first.
So you've addressed Kenya. Emma, her own is that she says she doesn't even know what's happening in training.
Yes. She said it. She said everything. That
so Emma, can you write your title in English? You wrote Kazi na Kuku, so we don't understand. Is that Swahili? Please.
Okay, so Emma, please, you can drop the title of your project in the chat, and we can take KG.
Okay, many people will carry you. Have you? Okay, you take KG, and then you have KG, Stella. You have Stella, you have Nancy. Barrister Ebenezer, uncle.
Ebenezer. Oh, we've not.
Barrister Ebenezer is there. Lawyers Arise for the People Initiative.
I'm telling you. All right, KG, can we take you?
I couldn't help but laugh that you felt that I'm amongst those who need less support.
Yes.
Oh dear. So I am one of those who voted to say that I felt overwhelmed this week.
Wow.
I felt overwhelmed. I felt like every other person in that group is a serious person except me. Why? Because, okay, yes, I have had a lot going on this week, and so I didn't give it much attention like I wanted, but when I sat down to do, I don't know, maybe it's coming from my experience. So one of the main challenges I had this week was everything felt like a repetition. From the objective, the output. At one point there on the table on the logical framework, I didn't even know what input meant at one point. I watched the video, I did, so all of this, looking at the log frame, there is a lot of confusion in my head. What is it that I'm required to write here? I have listened to what everyone has said this evening. I'm making notes as well. I'm getting some clarity. I'm getting some clarity on it.
Sorry, are you talking about input or output? Because those are two different things.
Input.
The log frame, the log frame has the
Yeah.
rows and the columns. And then impact. There are some funders that will say impact or overall goal, and then say objective, say outcome, or request you to provide both objectives and outcome in the same proposal. And then you have output or expected results. And then you have activities and then input. So she's overwhelmed with all of these terminologies, what they mean, and what information you are expected to provide. What will you guys, Abraham, do you think I should withdraw that video on the logical framework and leave this one that has the project plan?
No, I think for me, Abraham, if you ask me, if you ask my opinion, I think we should just keep it there.
We'll not have wala.
You know why? You know why, Rene?
No.
What I think is that Rookie can drop something on proposal plan, which is more simpler. Is a simplification of
the log
frame.
Okay.
So if they are able to understand what should go into what section of a proposal plan, it should not be difficult for them to know, okay, once I develop my plan, I can just lift off this view into this section of my log frame. And then
so Abraham, if you look at the screen, is there anything here that is missing from your version of the project plan, the proposal plan?
Hold on, you have the project goal, you have the project objective, and you have the output, you have the activities. The indicators are missing.
See indicators to your right.
Yeah, they are there on the right.
Okay, my screen is covered by...
So I only put 2 as example. Because I didn't want to overbloat the screen with it.
The means of verification?
No, we wanted to remove that because most cases now you don't even see that.
You don't put that, yes.
So we want to simplify the log frame.
Yeah, I would say these things, Coach Rookie.
Yeah. I can hear you, Abraham. So is there anything missing from the project here that it's on the project plan, it's not here? Abraham, are you still here? Abraham, are you still here?
Sorry, this is Nigeria. Welcome. So,
all right.
So I was going to say this. For the results for the proposal plan, it would be good to start it with intervention logic.
Yeah, which is the white part.
Yes, that intervention logic. What is the logic statement? If I do this, so thing will happen. Then you can then put the goal. Then you can put the specific objective. Then I would prefer that under each specific objective, that the activities contributing to that specific objective comes under it. And each specific objectives will have their own indicators of measurement. So if we can structure it that way, it will help the learners to be able to move from one objective to the activities, to the indicators, and then go to the next objective and just flesh it out like that. It's a lot better than the logic framework for understanding sake.
Yeah, because they don't have to deal with the MOVs and then the assumptions. Okay.
Yes.
That's all right. So for this, it's only one objective. That's why it's straight for just one objective. And then the only difference is the outputs, two different outputs. You just need to know which activities are going into the output that talks about receiving financial planning training, and the one that goes into the cooperatives and linkages to market.
Yeah. So I think this works. It works really well. So for those who are looking for answers to how a logic framework should be filled, please expect a project plan template and a guiding comment to come from Coach Rookie to the platform. And I can assure you, if you can understand the project plan itself, nothing should be difficult for you when it comes to the logic framework. So I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. But one of my main takeaway this week is don't try to do this alone, KG. Work with a team. That came out very clearly for me because it has a way of trying to mess up with my head. But when I'm able to reflect alongside other team members, I think it will make it easier. And then one of my main challenges is I am one person who can talk and articulate, but I discovered that putting it in paper
is another work. It's
yeah.
a different ball game.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I think thank you very much. I just want to a quick one for Nancy and Stella to prepare. So any one of you can shoot.
Okay, hi, good evening once more. Honestly,
Yeah, good evening,
I
Nancy.
had a very kind of engaging week because of the kind of industry I work, and I would say the key challenge was that I couldn't put in quality time to really understand the basics of what the logic framework really means. Try a couple of times to actually put in like I watched the video up to a point and I tried to put in work into developing the one I needed for the help girls stay in school, but it was kind of actually tough putting ideas together. And this is also coming from the fact that I'm more of a P times Q person. Give me Excel, give me data. I'm speeding with it, but then when it comes to writing, it's like
statistician.
but I really kind of echo the words of Coach Rookie, because she really mentioned earlier that it is you can't learn writing by not writing. So I really believe that um this is kind of my weakness that I think I really need to turn into a strength, or it's actually an opportunity for me to improve on. And I also struggled partly because I was working alone, like KG mentioned. Like I strongly believe that if I could work with one or two people, it would have been easier for me to kind of put my thoughts together. And I also had to go back to my initial objectives to really like restructure. And thanks, Coach Rookie, too. I saw your feedback. I tried to kind of add more flesh and kind of put the thoughts in chronological manner and all. But I really believe that this is a huge learning point for me, and I do hope and pray that this will end up into a real NGO, like I mentioned earlier. So, but for now, it's more of an experiment. It's more like a skill building avenue for me.
It's really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting that you took the leap to come in even when it's still in the idea phase. So it gives you a lot of clarity into the gaps that you need to address by the time you launch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I also believe that the project plan template will also really, I think it will help me more as well. And it's really good that we have like extra hand supporting, and I can see that it's really collaborative and interactive. you know.
Yeah, I think one thing to take note of here is Coach Ruki,
Yeah.
maybe for the next cohort, we can look at maybe from the registration stage,
Yeah.
we can look at the types of organization and their thematic focus, the types of
Okay.
activities or projects that they do,
Mhm.
and maybe group them.
Okay, sorry, let me collapse the rooms and let's get into the main space.
Okay.
So there
Okay.
are some maybe people floating in space.
Up and down.
They are not anywhere. So I'll close all and
Okay.
all breakout rooms are closing. So we're going back to the original place where we are. So you can leave.
All right. I think we can wait for everybody to jump in from where they are. So I think somebody has echo.
Wait, it's yeah. Let me drag people from the other room. Who's not there? We need to close in this one. Okay, so Abraham, you continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was saying that maybe for the next cohort we can group them when we give out the work, so that they can share ideas when trying to fill in things into the problem statement. Like group them, let them share ideas before going to do their separate work. So they can have, yeah, you people, you work in peace building, you are in this group together. You work in nutrition, you are in this group together, as closely matched as organizations are. Although
Right,
it will
so
also
we'll look at that. We'll look at that at the back end.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
people that you've not addressed their
That would be
questions.
Stella.
And Barrister Beniza, I think he has dropped off the call, or is he still in the breakout room?
No, I don't see him. So
But
it's
have you
only
spoken
Stella.
with him? Have you spoken with him?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we did. Yeah.
All right.
So Stella, over to you.
Chinyere also.
Oh, Chinyere.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's a problem with her device or something, because her mic is not even connected.
Oh.
So with Chinyere, we'll close.
We have
I
the
said
two of them.
no, not Chinyere.
Stella.
Stella.
Yes, Stella. Are you sure she did not step away from her mic?
Stella, are you there?
Maybe she's trying to get some food.
Oh, it's possible. It's possible. So before Stella comes in, I want to encourage us. What we found out today is that the quality of our writing is really impeding the quality of our proposal.
Yeah.
So I will advise. I actually had a student on proposal writing before who I advised this. He took it like it was the Holy Grail, and then he delivered result. Please, when you chat your private chats, please do not abbreviate. It starts from there. It starts from your WhatsApp message. It starts from your text messages. It starts from your emails. Write in clean, clear English. And you'll be surprised at how much improvement you would make in a short space of time. We are all on WhatsApp. We are sending that for you. You type the letter, no, the figure 4, and then you put you at the back for you. Forever, you put 4 and you put EVA. It will reflect when you start writing your proposal. So please, just a small word of advice for us. I think Stella is actually unavailable to speak.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So my dears, thank you so much, Abraham. Thank you so much, Rainy. It's been a long night. It's been 3 hours. Special thanks to our international participants. I don't know, was Michelin, did you talk with Michelin from Cameroon? Okay, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you had a live.
No,
Okay. So
no, she
special
wasn't in
thanks to all of you from Kenya, from Uganda, also from Cameroon because of the time difference, 2 hours ahead of British summer time, which is currently the same as Nigeria. So special thanks. It's past midnight. It's almost 1 a.m. in Kenya here. So well done. Just go back and do the needful, which is do all the corrections that has been highlighted in your proposal. And then, we're getting into week 3. Week 3 means you're watching the training on monitoring, evaluation, and sustainability strategy. You're watching that video. So right now, it should be showing as your 4th video, number 4 on the stream, because of the last one I just added. So watch that, do the corrections, take your time, do the corrections, and proceed. If you know, truthfully, you cannot proceed, you have to finish up the design. No worries. Pace yourself and get it done. But remember that you have targets on a week-to-week basis. The structure of the part of the proposal you should be working on is there in the WhatsApp group. Once you go to the group information, you go to the pictures, you go to pictures, you're going to see that table where I said week 1, this is the video you're watching, this is the part of the proposal. Ensure you're keeping up, you're not leaving things to the end of the program. All right. So Chinyere, you kept struggling back and forth. I also saw that within the week, the questions you were asking shows that you were a bit confused. You were talking about using another call for proposal, using another template, and all of that. Please stick to what we're doing in the program. Don't go outside to look for another template, another call for proposal, and all that. Except you have a proposal you want to go and submit, you want to face that one, face and submit. But for the program, please do what you are being asked to do. Because once you cannot follow guidelines, once you cannot follow instructions, is a problem already for proposal writing. It means what the donor has said for you in the document, you want to do something else, and it's already a no-no. So focus on what we've asked you to do, focus on the deliverable on a week-to-week basis, put in the effort, listen to the classes and execute what you have learned. Don't try to bring things from outside. If you're confused, ask questions. All right, keep asking till you get clarity. Keep asking. Whatever you're struggling with, keep asking until you get the answers you need. All right. So it's good that you are voicing out the frustrations so that we can help. But ensure that the comments you are making in your document is not to slight you, but is to really bring to your notice that there's something you need to pay attention to. All right. So keep doing the work. Like I said, COVID-19 is in the past. There's no key focus on COVID-19 primarily. And so what your organization has a mission. And to advance that mission, there are certain projects that people are already doing, and the project is working. So find a way to focus on that for this training and improve on the design of that project so you can do a quality proposal. Okay. So I want to see that you're going back to your document to do all of the corrections. Do you have a question tonight as we close? Do you have any question, Chinyere? Anything you need clarity on? Sorry, you said? You can type it in the chat if your mic is not clear enough. So use the chat or type it in the WhatsApp group so I can release people. It's 1 a.m. in Kenya, it's 11 a.m. in Nigeria and the UK. So well done, everybody. Please keep showing up to the live sessions. Please keep showing up because I know it's not easy to watch the recording. So imagine that you have a 2 hours masterclass to watch for this week. Then you want to now add a 3 hours recording of a session you missed. That's 5 hours. So when you spend 5 hours to watch video, how many hours do you have left to do the assignment for the week? All right. So well done, everybody. Let me just see. Your network was really bad towards the end of the session. Thank you. Okay. Teaching methodology, group work is really a new innovation. All right. Okay, so well done, everybody. That's good night from me. Keep doing the work. At the back end, we are looking at the documents we're reviewing. For me, I pick out Fridays to review. So I'll see this week if I can do some by Thursday. So ensure that all the corrections, the new work, at least let's see it by Thursday midnight. Let it get to us latest by Thursday midnight. The earlier, the better. All right. But just ensure that you're putting in the work to bring out something that is of quality. Don't just gloss over it, you know, but do something that is of value.
And
all right.
more importantly, you guys should not get scared and I would say intimidated, like I said. Please. This is the first time ever that even when I started learning grant writing, I've seen 3 coaches doing, I mean,
oh, one cohort.
You guys are very lucky. I would say that this is a very great opportunity for you guys to work. So nobody is intimidating you. You guys should just put yourself to work to learn, and then I would say even us, we are still learning grant writing.
Yeah.
We are learning it because grant writing is
evolving.
It evolves every day.
Just like Abraham threw a shot on using the publications, academic research. Yeah, that was a new bomb because I use it sometimes and it scales through.
Exactly.
So,
guys, don't get frustrated, don't get intimidated. You guys, I mean, we are there to help you. Thanks so much.
All right. And so by next week, Sunday, I'm holding the next onboarding workshop. So please share the link, invite your friends, invite your colleagues, your people in your organization that you know that they are supposed to go through this fire to learn proposal writing and then come out refined. Please share the link with them so that they join the wait list and then they can get the Zoom link to come on the onboarding training holding next week, Sunday. Please share. I'm going to drop it again. Just help us get it out there to your friends, to your colleagues, to your networks and all of that. All right. Okay, have a wonderful night, everybody. It's 11 p.m., it's 1 a.m. in Kenya. Thanks, everybody, for showing up and then draining all of those things that we've been saying. Thank you. We appreciate your effort. Thank you, Renee. You had to pack your car, you know. Thank you so much. Thank you, Abraham. 3 hours of additional value. I appreciate you all. Keep asking your questions in the classroom. That's why we have a classroom. Use the classroom to your advantage. Read all the messages that we keep dropping. Ensure you're not skipping any message. And then have a wonderful night rest. I'll see you in your classroom. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.